The air was thick with anticipation as Taylor Swift stepped onto the set of the Graham Norton Show, her signature smile lighting up the room. Fans had been buzzing for weeks about her appearance, expecting the usual charm and wit she brings to every interview. Graham Norton, known for his cheeky banter and ability to coax juicy stories from celebrities, welcomed her with his trademark grin. The couch was packed with A-listers Lady Gaga, Richard Gere, and Bruno Mars, each ready to share their latest projects. Taylor, fresh off the release of her latest album, was there to talk about her music, her tour, and maybe drop a few hints about her next big move. But what started as a light-hearted chat quickly took a turn no one saw coming. As Graham tossed out his usual playful jabs, Taylor seemed to be in high spirits, laughing along with the audience. Yet, there was a subtle tension in her posture, a flicker in her eyes that suggested she was on guard. The conversation began innocently enough, with Graham asking about her recent tour and the whirlwind of her career. Taylor responded with her usual eloquence, sharing stories of sold-out stadiums and the creative process behind her latest hits. The audience was eating it up, clapping and cheering as she recounted a particularly wild night in Tokyo where fans had camped out for days to see her. But then, Graham pivoted to a more personal question, one that seemed to catch Taylor off guard. He asked about a recent tabloid rumor involving her personal life, something about a supposed feud with another pop star. The room went quiet for a split second, and Taylor's smile tightened. She deflected with a laugh, saying, "Oh, Graham, you know I don't play those games," but there was an edge to her voice. The audience chuckled, but the vibe had shifted. Graham, perhaps sensing he'd hit a nerve, doubled down with a cheeky comment about her dating history, a topic Taylor has long tried to steer clear of in interviews. Her eyes narrowed, and she leaned forward, her tone sharp but controlled. "Let's talk about the music, Graham," she said, her voice firm. The crowd sensed the tension, and the murmur rippled through the studio. Social media was already lighting up with clips of the moment, fans dissecting every word. This wasn't the Taylor Swift they were used to seeing, a poised, polished, untouchable. Something was brewing, and it was clear this interview was about to take a dramatic turn. As the show progressed, the dynamic between Taylor and Graham became increasingly charged. Graham, known for pushing boundaries, seemed determined to keep the conversation spicy. He brought up a viral moment from Taylor's tour where a fan had thrown a friendship bracelet that accidentally hit her mid-performance. The audience laughed as Graham played the clip on the big screen, showing Taylor dodging the projectile with a playful grin. But when he jokingly suggested she might have angered the Swifties with her response, Taylor's demeanor shifted again. She leaned back, crossing her arms, and said, "My fans know I love them. They don't need to throw things to prove a point." The comment was met with a mix of cheers and awkward laughter from the audience. Graham, ever the showman, tried to keep things light, but his next question about her songwriting process seemed to irk her further. He asked if her lyrics were too personal, implying they might be too revealing about her private life. Taylor's response was swift and cutting. "I write what I feel, Graham. If people can't handle honesty, that's their problem." The studio audience gasped, sensing the conversation was veering into dangerous territory. Lady Gaga, sitting nearby, tried to diffuse the tension with the supportive comment about Taylor's artistry, but it did little to cool the atmosphere. On social media, fans were already taking sides, with #Taylor vs. Graham trending worldwide. Some praised Taylor for standing her ground, while others thought she was being overly sensitive. The clash was becoming the talk of the internet, with clips of the exchange racking up millions of views. Graham, perhaps realizing he was losing control of the interview, tried to pivot to a lighter topic, asking about her collaboration with Bruno Mars on a recent track. But Taylor wasn't having it. She called out the pattern of questions, saying, "It feels like you're trying to get a headline out of me, Graham, and I'm not here for that." The audience erupted in a mix of cheers and shocked murmurs. This was no longer just an interview, it was a showdown, and Taylor was holding her own against one of the sharpest hosts in the business. The tension reached a boiling point when Graham made a quip about Taylor's cats, a topic that had previously led to a playful spat with John Cleese in a 2014 appearance on the show. Back then, Taylor had deftly handled Cleese's comment about her cat Olivia Benson, shutting down his subtle sexism with a smile. This time, Graham referenced that moment, saying, "Taylor, you're still defending those cats, aren't you? Are they still ruling your life?" The audience laughed, but Taylor's face hardened. "My cats are my family, Graham," she said, her voice icy. "Maybe you don't get it, but they're not a punchline." The studio went silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Graham, visibly taken aback, tried to laugh it off, but the damage was done. Richard Gere, ever the diplomat, jumped in with the story about his own pets, but the moment felt forced. Taylor's fans on social media were quick to rally behind her, praising her for defending her personal life against what they saw as Graham's relentless prodding. The #SwiftiesUnite began trending alongside #Graham Norton Show, with fans calling out the host for crossing a line. Some speculated that Taylor's reaction was fueled by years of dealing with invasive questions about her personal life, from her relationships to her friendships. Others wondered if there was more to the story, perhaps a behind-the-scenes disagreement that had set the stage for this clash. The interview continued, but the chemistry between Taylor and Graham was noticeably strained. Every question seemed to carry an undercurrent of challenge, and Taylor's responses grew shorter and sharper. By this point, the other guests were visibly uncomfortable, with Bruno Mars cracking nervous jokes to lighten the mood. The audience, however, was riveted, hanging on every word as the drama unfolded. This wasn't just a talk show appearance anymore, it was a cultural moment, one that would be dissected for weeks to come. The turning point came when Graham asked about Taylor's influence on younger artists, a seemingly safe question that quickly went off the rails. He mentioned a new pop star who had recently cited Taylor as an inspiration but had also made comments that some interpreted as shade. Graham, with his knack for stirring the pot, asked Taylor if she felt threatened by the new generation of artists. The question was loaded, and Taylor didn't miss a beat. "Threatened, Graham? I've been in this industry for over a decade. I lift others up, I don't tear them down," she said, her voice steady but laced with frustration. The audience erupted in applause, but Graham, perhaps sensing an opportunity for more drama, pressed it further. "But don't you think there's room for a little friendly competition?" he asked, his tone teasing. That was the final straw. Taylor leaned forward, her eyes locked on Graham's. "I'm not here to play your games, Graham. I'm here to talk about my work, my fans, and the things that matter to me. If you want to make this about drama, I am done." The studio fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Social media exploded with reactions, with fans praising Taylor's boldness and others questioning whether she'd gone too far. The moment was unprecedented. Taylor Swift, the queen of composure, was calling out a host on live television. Whispers began circulating that the producers were scrambling behind the scenes, unsure how to handle the situation. Graham, visibly flustered, tried to pivot to a commercial break, but the damage was done. The audience was buzzing, and the internet was ablaze with speculation about what would happen next. Would Taylor walk off? Would Graham apologize? The tension was palpable, and it was clear this moment would define the episode. As the show returned from the break, the atmosphere was electric. Graham, ever the professional, tried to steer the conversation back to safer ground, asking Taylor about her upcoming tour plans. But the spark had been lit, and Taylor wasn't ready to let things slide. She answered his questions politely but curtly, her responses lacking the warmth she'd shown earlier. The other guests, sensing the awkwardness, tried to keep the mood light, with Lady Gaga sharing a funny story about her own tour mishaps, but the focus remained on Taylor and Graham. Fans on social media were live tweeting every moment, with some calling for Graham to apologize and others defending his right to ask tough questions. The #TaylorClash was now trending higher than the show itself, with millions weighing in on the drama. Behind the scenes, rumors swirled that Taylor's team was furious, with some reports suggesting they were considering pulling her from the rest of the episode. The tension was evident in Taylor's body language as she sat stiffly, her arms crossed, her smile gone. Graham, perhaps realizing he'd pushed too far, tried to make amends by praising her latest album, but Taylor's response was lukewarm at best. "Thanks, Graham. I worked hard on it," she said, her tone flat. The audience could feel the chill, and even the other guests seemed unsure how to navigate the situation. Bruno Mars tried to lighten the mood with a joke about his own album, but it fell flat. The internet was now flooded with memes, from dramatic reenactments of the clash to edited clips of Taylor's icy stare. Fans were divided as some saw Taylor as a hero for standing up to what they saw as disrespectful questioning, while others felt she was being overly dramatic. The clash had become more than just a moment on a talk show. It was a cultural flashpoint, sparking debates about celebrity interviews, media scrutiny, and the pressures of fame. The situation reached its climax when, during a discussion about Taylor's philanthropy, Graham made a comment that seemed to question her motives. He asked if her charitable work was just for the headlines, a question that many felt crossed the line. Taylor's face flushed with anger, and she stood up from the couch, her voice shaking but resolute. "I'm not going to sit here and let you twist everything I do into some kind of narrative," she said. "I'm done with this." The audience gasped as she walked off the set, leaving Graham stunned and the other guests scrambling to fill the silence. Richard Gere tried to smooth things over with a kind word about Taylor's generosity, but the moment was already iconic. Social media erupted, with #Taylor walks off trending worldwide within minutes. Clips of the moment were shared millions of times, with fans praising Taylor's courage and others criticizing her for what they saw as a diva move. The internet was a battlefield, with Swifties rallying behind their idol and detractors accusing her of overreacting. Behind the scenes, reports suggested that Taylor's team had clashed with the show's producers, who were blindsided by her exit. Some sources claimed that Taylor had warned them about avoiding certain topics, while others said the producers had encouraged Graham to push her buttons for the sake of ratings. Whatever the truth, the moment was a turning point, sparking discussions about the ethics of talk show interviews and the pressure celebrities faced to remain composed under scrutiny. The Graham Norton Show, known for its lighthearted vibe, had never seen anything like this. Fans and critics alike were left wondering what would happen next. Would Taylor address the incident? Would Graham issue an apology? The drama was far from over. In the aftermath of Taylor's walk-off, the internet became a storm of opinions, theories, and hot takes. Fans flooded social media with support, creating memes and videos celebrating Taylor's stand against what they saw as disrespectful questioning. "We Stand With Taylor" became a rallying cry, with Swifties organizing campaigns to defend her honor. Meanwhile, critics argued that Taylor had overreacted, pointing out that Graham's questions, while pointed, were par for the course in the world of celebrity interviews. Some even suggested that Taylor's exit was a calculated move to generate buzz for her new album, a theory that her fans vehemently denied. The Graham Norton Show issued a brief statement, saying they respected Taylor's decision and wished her well, but the lack of an apology only fueled the fire. Graham himself remained silent on the issue, though he was spotted looking somber at a London event. Days later, industry insiders speculated about the fallout, with some suggesting that Taylor's walk-off could change how talk shows handle high-profile guests. Others wondered if it would impact her relationship with the BBC, which had long been a supporter of her career. On X, the conversation was relentless, with millions of posts dissecting every moment of the clash. Fans shared clips of Taylor's previous appearances on the show, where she'd been charming and unflappable, contrasting them with the heated exchange. Some pointed to her 2014 appearance, where she'd handled John Cleese's comments with grace, as evidence that she could handle tough moments, making this clash all the more shocking. Meanwhile, Taylor stayed silent, letting the internet do the talking. Rumors swirled that she was planning to address the incident in a new song, with lyrics hinting at media scrutiny and personal boundaries. As the dust settled, one thing was clear: Taylor Swift had once again proven her ability to command attention, not just through her music but through her unwavering refusal to be anything less than herself.